Man, it is a windy son of a bucket out here. Just got done riding bike. So this one, why did people used to live so long? Colton asked me earlier where he's doing a research paper on survivors of the Holocaust, and he's looking up these birthdays, all these people. I had got a brain fart, but people like Viktor Frankl, Dr. Ruth, Edith Eger, all these people. Anyhow, and they lived a long time. I mean, a lot of these people lived to be 100. So I just explained to him, I was like, well, first of all, food and all that stuff. The world was a different place back then. So people tend to live. They could live longer. Our greatest generation, World War II people, because they had more healthy lifestyles, more active, walking and all that. And I explained to him that those people learned to be really resilient. They learned at a young age, Holocaust, for most of them, young age, and they learned to strength through struggle. No matter what, the last thing anybody can take from man is choice, and so they chose to live and thrive, and that's what they've done. Excuse me. Man, I just got done working out. I'm whooped. So, and then he mentioned something about, like people in the Old Testament, Noah, and they lived, a long time, and Abraham and his wife Sarah, I think it was, they lived a long time. I said, well, you got to look back. You mentioned Noah, Moses, all these people. I said, where are they in history? And he's like, the Old Testament. I said, yeah, but in regards to Noah's kind of a pivotal time in history. Noah before and Noah after. Noah is one of the, his family, they're one of the few people who got to see both sides of history in scientific regard. And he kind of looked at me funny. I said, thing is, before the flood, the world was a completely different place. I mean, this is all scientific. You can look it up. I'm sure some of it's biblical, but whatever, science, right? So back in Genesis 1:1, it doesn't say in the beginning God created heaven and earth. It said God created the heavens and the earth. So heavens, what are heavens? Well, there's three heavens. I think it's Paul or John makes mention of the third heaven in the New Testament. But the first heaven is between earth, what we see here, and the atmosphere, the sky. That's heaven number one. Heaven number two is between the sky and heaven, where God is. And then the third heaven is heaven, where God and Jesus and all the angels and all that stuff. So there's three heavens. And during the flood, it said the heavens fell. The rain began, rain started, and the heavens fell. Or the heaven, whatever. And so what they're talking about is the atmosphere. The atmosphere is a lot different pre-flood versus post-flood in that it was more oxygen enriched. So the atmosphere, it's like we lived in a greenhouse. And so the oxygen content was much, much higher pre-flood. There was much more moisture in the atmosphere. So because there was more moisture, there was more plants. Because there was more plants, more vegetation, there's a lot more oxygen. What do people do? Nitrogen narcosis for you divers, right? So you surface too fast when you're scuba diving. Nitrogen buildup, embolism, all that stuff. So they put you in a hyperbaric chamber. People have been doing it now for injuries and brain injuries and all this stuff. They go to the hyperbaric chamber. What's in a hyperbaric chamber? It's enriched oxygen under pressure. So it squeezes in you. So oxygen is the key. Oxygen is a miracle element, right? So yeah, and that's why football players breathe oxygen and all that. Oxygen fights off acidosis in the body from trauma and all that. So before the flood, before the heavens fell, a lot more water in the atmosphere. The water, that's why we don't have as much now, because it fell from the atmosphere to the earth, created the flood, flooded the world and all that. So that's why people live longer. They live healthier lives, truth be told. They healed from breaks and bones and bruises and scratches a lot faster. And their body on a molecular and cellular level worked much, much more efficiency than we do now. Methuselah 900 something, Moses 500 whatever, Noah 600-700 something. So they lived a long time. People are like, well, time's different then than it is now. It's not literal time. I don't know. Prove it. Prove me wrong. So anyhow, so that's that. For those of you who don't know, that's why I like studying the Bible and learning about science and Bible and how how you can couple them together, and the stories are actually pretty cool when you do that, versus going into church and listening to a sermon about getting along with your spouse, or finances, or injustice, or whatever. I want to learn stuff. I want to learn so that I can understand. And once I understand, there's a saying that says, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it good enough. So I just hope I explained it simply to you. It's pretty simple, really. More oxygen, longer life. More water, more plants, more oxygen. So that's that. Hope you enjoyed it. There you go. Later.